Hello, my friends. Here I am, Pedro Candeias, the founder of Karate Science Academy, with one more open lesson, number 14, okay, here in Karate Science Academy's YouTube, okay? Today, I will bring one of the lessons I shared in the Explosive Karate 2021 certified course that ended for about 2 months ago, okay? Where I shared everything evidence really knows about speed and power training, and I adapted it all to karate, to our reality in kumite and kata, to our real needs in our martial art, combat sport, call it what you want. And today I will talk about the muscle fibers, okay, trying to understand why that old philosophy of training in karate with the philosophy of more reps, more displacements, more shikodashi, more sukiwaza, more push-ups, more squats, more everything, more every time in full intensity is not the best way. It's not the optimal way to maximize your speed and power development in karate, okay? Regardless of being athletes or non-athletes, the principles are the same. So it won't be a complex lesson about anatomy, okay? Anything, it's not that, okay? It's very practical, easy to follow with, I think, a simple language and always transferring the knowledge to karate, to our reality, okay? So I really know that I have a group of karate coaches and students and athletes that follow my work, and they already know that they are searching for the full picture of training methodology and not the hidden secret of speed and power development that will make them the next world champion in 3 months, okay? That is something that doesn't exist, okay? So please, if you are here, if you're still here, it's because you're not one of those searching for some fast and quick tips and new and novelty to put a new exercise in the next lesson. No, you are here to understand the whys of effective and efficient and safe training methodology for speed and power, okay? So watch the lesson. It will be about one of the whys the training methodology for speed and power is in a given is a certain way and not based on that philosophy of more. Okay, subscribe the channel with the notifications activated, because every 7 days I share a new lesson and the last one is eliminated from the channel. So if you don't want to lose any of the lessons, subscribe the channel, go to our Telegram channel, go to our Instagram, because I also warn every followers, every members of when a new lesson is published, okay? So I hope you like it. I hope it's useful. I wait for your comments, questions you may have, the feedback you may want to give me. And that's it. See you in 7 days and enjoy the lesson. Cheers, my friends. Hello, my friends. Here I am, Pedro Candeias, for the fourth and last class of the first module of Explosive Karate 2021 in the English version, okay? I hope this first module really helped you to understand those elements I really consider as important and really relevant to a coach, a karate coach, a strength and conditioning specialist, to work with all kinds of karatekas, from the beginners to top level athletes, okay? I think it's what you need, but of course you can always go deeper, we are going deeper in the second week, okay? The next week we are going to talk about the intermuscular coordination, the intramuscular coordination, the peripheral nervous factors that will influence how you build, choose, and adapt strength and conditioning, speed, power, strength exercises that have a good transfer, a high transferability to Kumite and Kata. Of course, you can go further. For example, I'm going to give you a tip here, okay? One of the knowledges I think it's important you to develop in the future, okay, is knowing a little bit more about functional anatomy, understanding how your muscles work, what's their participation in each movement, in each muscle action, for example. It's not a thing that I believe it's fundamental to you to reach the highest levels of training methodology, but I will give you this tip. If you go to Muscle and Motion, okay, and attention, I have any commission about this app, okay? I just use it as a user. If I had some kind of affiliation to receive any commission, I wouldn't put the name here in a word sheet. I would put a link that would track the origin and would put 15, 20, I don't know, percent in my bank account. I'm not working like that. If any time, if one time I make it, I don't believe it, but if I make it, I will be the first one to warn you that if you click on that link or go to that place, I will earn some kind of gratification. Okay, it's not the case. Okay, it's just a nap, very, very useful to those who don't master anatomy or functional anatomy that well and want to have access to an easy and affordable way of learning how each muscle works in thousands of strength exercise. Okay, it has colors, it has well identified the stabilizers, the agonists, the antagonists, the neutralizers. It's a very easy way to learn functional anatomy and understanding how your muscles work together or in isolation in some types of movements. Okay, go to Muscle and Motion. I use the English version. I don't know if it has other versions in other languages, and specifically to the pack of strength and anatomy. Okay, that's because they have a pack about yoga and some kind of stuff like that. Okay, but Muscle and Motion, strength and anatomy. I pay 50 euros per year. Okay, so I think it's affordable. It's a very affordable and very motivating way of learning functional anatomy. That is an additional knowledge that if you want to go deeper in terms of understanding movement, okay, you can go and use it. Okay, so let's return to types of muscle fibers. This is one more class, one more element that you must understand and master, okay? So you understand especially speed and power training, okay? Why? Let's return to my word sheet. I'm going to use it more in some lessons. Those who follow my open lessons on YouTube or made the plyometric formula for Kumite and Kata already know that. The training methodology that we traditionally use in karate is this: more. Am I correct? Yes. More reps, more push-ups, more squats, more displacements in Shikodachi, more times the kata, more times the Gyakuzuki, 100, 1000 per class. Yes? That's a training philosophy. That's not a methodology. That's a philosophy that was passed generation by generation. It's not exclusive of karate. The martial arts world still rely too much in this kind of thinking, okay? But if you want to take your athletes, your karatekas, speed and power to another level, okay, this is not the best way, okay? Are they going to develop speed this way until a certain point? Yes. If you have a karateka, a student that comes to your class that doesn't work out for many years, okay, if you just ask him for a year to make everything as fast as possible, even when he's fatigued, etc., his or her maximal speed and power will increase. Yes, okay, but not as much as it could. And for a certain point, things start to stagnate very fast. Okay, so it's a good way to develop stamina, to develop endurance, to develop endurance strength. Okay, metabolic endurance, metabolic stamina, and endurance strength. But we are not developing speed and power in an optimized way. Okay, and let's start to understanding how our muscle fibers work. Okay, so we can have another argument, another element that will show you why that's not the best way of training, okay, in terms of maximum speed and power development. So the importance of understanding the different types of muscle fibers, I already said it, okay. This is just an image. I'm not going to go deep into anatomy. You can find all this very easily for free on the internet. But those who don't have these foundations, okay, just to understand that a muscle is integrated, is made, okay, by a group of fascias. Each fascia, I was already talking Portuguese, each fascia is composed by several muscle fibers, each muscle fiber by several myofibrils and sarcomeres and so on, okay? So this is the structure, the basic structure of muscle. It's important that you have at least this notion, and it might lead you to want to learn more about it, okay? So let's understand the types of muscle fibers, okay? Let's talk about type 1 fibers and type 2 fibers. Type 1 fibers are those who have more resistance, okay? More resistance, no, this is a wrong word in English. More endurance, okay? They can endure more in terms of muscle contraction, but they can reach high levels of force production in terms of maximal strength, for example, and in terms of speed contraction or contraction speed, okay? They can't. They are not built like that. They are built for keeping long periods of contraction, okay? And they are important, but they are not the fibers that will make your athletes stronger or faster, especially faster, okay? Then we have the type 2 fibers, those who contract very fast, are able to do it and to produce the highest levels of strength in your muscles, okay? Inside the type 2 fibers, I brought you the two that are the most different, okay? We also have 2B and 2C fibers. For a few years, it was usual to speak more about 2A and 2B fibers. Right now, the scientists discovered that there is a type 2X fibers, those who really are able to produce the maximum levels of strength and speed, power, whatever, okay? So the 2X fibers are those who have the highest levels of strength and speed production, okay? But they are very, very, very little resistant to fatigue. Fatigue installs very quickly in 3-4 repetitions, okay? Then we have 2A fibers. They already have the ability to contract very fast to produce maximum levels of strength, but they are more resistant, okay? They can last a little bit more than 2X fibers, and are the types of is the type of fibers that we will develop, okay, improve the most with our training programs, okay? We will transform a great percentage of 2X fibers into give them characteristics more close to 2A fibers. In other words, they will keep the ability to produce great levels of strength and speed, but they can do it for longer periods of time. Okay, so let's understand this in practical terms and understanding why the more methodology is wrong when we want to develop speed. When we want to develop maximum speed, it's when I observe a karateka, and after a well-designed warm-up, I ask him or her to perform the fastest gyakuzuki or move or kick, doesn't matter, okay? He or she can do. I observe, I ask him to make it 2 or 3 more times, and I observe that his or her maximum speed is not enough. It's not enough to win to his or her opponents in a competition, for example, or it's not enough to have a good kata in terms of athletic performance, okay? So I want to develop his or her maximum speed or power, okay? In order to do it, I have to stimulate 2A and 2X fibers. And they must contract without fatigue and as maximum as possible in each repetition of the exercise. It can be a technical a technique from kumite or kata, or it can be speed and power exercise in the gym, for example, okay? So if I ask my students or my athletes to perform 30 repetitions of push-ups in a row, what's going to happen is that in the first 6 or 7 repetitions of that set, they are in the first set, only in the first set, they will be able to perform their maximum speed, okay? But in the last 24 repetitions or 23, fatigue will start to install, and they will start to recruit more and more type 1 fibers because the 2A and 2X fibers are tired, okay? In terms of contraction speed. But this, I'm not just talking about the fibers. I'm going to develop this a little bit more in the second week, because the nervous factors, okay, elements play the most important role in terms of contraction speed, and fatigue will install also, and mainly in the electric signal that activates our muscle fibers. But right now we are talking about muscle fibers and not about motor units that we are going to speak in the next week. Okay, so type 2 fibers will not die, but will not be able to contract as fast as they can. And we are recruiting type 1 fibers mostly, okay? And beyond that, in the second set, our muscle fibers, especially type 2 fibers, will be fatigued. And that they can't reach the highest levels of contraction speed even in the first repetitions of the second set. Why? Because we tired them with 24 more repetitions in the first set. Okay? And type 2 fibers were, okay, dead. Okay? This is a generic way of speaking about it, okay, so you understand. But I just want you to understand that asking your athletes to perform as many repetitions as possible, as fast as possible, will not develop their speed and power in an optimal way. Okay? If you ask them to do that, they will develop their stamina. In other words, the capacity of maintaining high levels of speed and power, but not the highest, okay? For longer periods of time. It's very important to a longer kata, to kumite, but that's another thing. That's another goal that we are going to talk in the endurance and stamina course, additional to this one about speed and power. But when I observe that my athlete is not fast enough, even when he's not tired, okay, I need to have a good methodology to increase his or her maximal speed or power, okay? And we make it by stimulating optimally the type 2 fibers, okay? So we can't rely on more during the entire session, okay? I hope it's understandable. This is just a summary of what I was talking about, okay? So you can read it and study it if you want. And then the last slide with 2 or 3 ideas that I want you to retain. First of all, I already talked about the first point. Type 1 fibers are those who are able to contract slower, okay, but for longer periods of time. We are going to understand this even better in the second class of the module 2 about intramuscular coordination, where we are going to connect muscle fibers with the motor neurons, okay, that activate the muscle fibers. But the type 1 fibers are predominant in deeper muscles. They are present in every muscles of our body, but in different percentages. But those percentages are vary a lot between individuals, okay, between all of us. They are very present in postural muscles, for example. There they are predominant, okay, compared to type 2 fibers, but they are present in all muscles of our body. Type 2 fibers, or those who can contract fast, are present especially in the upper and lower limbs, okay? Triceps, deltoids, biceps, quads, and calves, and okay, so, but there are reference numbers, but they are very individual. So I won't give it to you because they could induce you in error. I watch a lot of people, especially in hypertrophy training, using that reference numbers, but those numbers are from 20 or 30 people in a study, but they can't be extrapolated to all of us. Okay, so it doesn't matter. It's not true evidence. It's just data that it has a tiny role for those who want to dig a little bit more into it. Okay, so, but the most important element I want to talk to you in this slide is that the percentage of type 2 fibers in your muscles is determined genetically. We are born, okay, with a predetermined amount, percentage of type 2 fibers in each one of our muscles, okay? So, this is the bad news, okay? You can't change that. But attention, because without proper training, type 2 fibers can get closer and closer to the characteristics of type 1 fibers, okay? Also of type 2X fibers. This is more a more deeper knowledge, okay? A deeper knowledge, because when we don't train, the type 2A fibers tend to go closer. A great number of them go closer to fiber 1 fibers. They get more resistant, but less powerful and fast. But a given percentage of them will also be closer to 2X. That will keep us the good levels of strength for a certain period of time, okay? For a month or two when we don't train, but they will get very fatigued when we try to activate them. For example, I can, with 1 or 2 months resting, okay, without training, without stimulating 2A fibers, for example, some of them will get characteristics of 2X. So I get to the gym, I can lift the same amount of weight, okay, or very, very close, but I notice, I perceive that I can't do it as many times as I did it before stopping. For example, if I lift 50 kilograms in a bench press, for example, okay? If I'm trained with a good rest, for example, I make 3 sets of 10 repetitions each, okay? I'm talking about hypertrophy, for example, okay? If I stop for a month or two, some of my 2A fibers get closer to 2X fibers, okay? And I go to the gym, I can lift the same 50 kilograms, but I can't make 3 sets of 10 repetitions each. I'm going to make, for example, the first set with 8 repetitions and the other 2 sets with 5, 6 repetitions. Okay. Or in other words, the volume decreases because my resistance, my endurance, okay, of my 2A fibers get decreased with that stoppage in my training, okay? Just an example, a curiosity, okay? But the good news about the genetically determined percentage of type 2 fibers is that I can really stimulate the percentage I have with a good training methodology. I can grab those 2A fibers I have in my muscles and make them really stronger and really faster with proper training methodology of speed and power. An example to finish the class so you understand it better. I have two athletes, for example. One of them born with, for example, in the quads with 40% of type 2 fibers. I have other athlete that was born with 60% of type 2 fibers. This second athlete has a greater potential, okay, in terms of speed and power in the quads because his percentage of type 2 fibers is greater, okay? But if the first karateka dedicates more hours of his training, of his strength and conditioning training per week to karate, for example, with the right methodology, he can become faster and more powerful than the second athlete that will train less or with a worse methodology, for example. So we can take this 40% of type 2 fibers and make them more useful, more stronger, faster than the 60% of type 2 fibers of the second athlete, okay? And that's what we are going to learn in this course. But if you have two athletes with these characteristics and both train a lot with good methodology, this one will always tend to have greater results in terms of speed and power. Okay, of course, this can win in a championship because karate is not just speed and power, it's decision making in kumite. It can be faster cognitively than this one that is faster physically. Okay, it can have it may has a greater technique. Okay, it may master the pace of the kata better. I don't know. Okay, but we are talking about physical conditioning, speed and power. Okay, you can have an athlete that is physically faster, but he doesn't have the rest, and this one may win. Okay, because he masters other things. Okay, because karate is very, very variable, as you know, and we can build an athlete based on several principles. But if this one has everything, and he may have also greater levels of speed and power, that's our job as karate coaches. Okay, so we're done. Okay, 28 minutes of class. I didn't get over the 30 minutes, so I'm good. See you next week with the second module, where we are going to learn how to build or choose or adapt exercise that have a greater transfer to kumite and kata. Cheers, my friends. Waiting for your questions. Thank you very much.